Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Liam's Fight Night Picks over here on the JFT YouTube channel. It's a fantastic weekend of boxing coming up. We have Terry Harper's homecoming in Doncaster on Friday night and Josh Taylor's Scottish homecoming in Glasgow on Saturday night. No one better than a man making his way over to the UK for Friday night's Doncaster build to get on the show this week than Hakan. How are you doing, Hakan?
I'm all good, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good weekend of boxing, isn't it? Terry Harper gets a homecoming, an amazing defense of a world title, and we're going to see what Josh Taylor's got left as well this weekend up at 147.
Yeah, it's a few really good fights at the GBM show. Isasif has stepped up yet again. I believe this is the best show GBM has had. So I think it's 5 title fights on the card. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's not just Terry Harper fight. It's loads of good fights on that card.
Yeah, you've teamed me up perfectly, mate. We are going to start in Doncaster, and we're going to start with the British and Commonwealth Super Bantamweight titles between Tycee Gallagher and Ebony Jones. Both women last fought in September of last year, so similar amounts of times outside of the ring. Gallagher is the champion going into this fight, 9-2 record. What's your reading on both girls going into this? Who would you say is the favourite? Are we in for a good fight, would you say here?
Yeah, I see Tycee as a huge favourite in this fight. They were lined up to meet in February in Sheffield, but sadly it was some close to Tycee. So she had to pull out and wait a couple of months, and now they are here in Doncaster to have the fight.
Yeah, as you say, close family member of Tycee passing away quite close to the initial date, so justifiably and understones. She was at the Albert Hall cards, which is another card I know you were at when Tasha Jonas and Lauren Price fought. Forgot Lauren's name then. And she mentioned Fran Hennessy as a potential opponent if she's able to get through this fight on Friday night. How would you view a matchup there between Tycee and Fran Hennessy perhaps in the future?
I think it will be a very good fight, a good step up for Tycee. But the question is Fran Hennessy's promotional situation right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No one really knows what's going on with Fran, do they?
Yeah, so we have to wait and see.
Yeah, we do. So let's get... sorry, mate. Go on.
Go to the prediction then. And I think that Tycee takes it on a unanimous decision, but I think Ebony will take a few rounds, but in the end, Tycee will take it with a couple of rounds at least.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It's going to be Anne Steele, British and Commonwealth champion for Tycee Gallagher on Friday night. Like you say, Ebony Jones will probably be competitive and take a few rounds, but you just expect Gallagher to be able to get the job done. But should be a good fight. And like you say, it's one of 5 title fights for varying degrees of belts on this card. And I believe it's going to be a kickstarter for the DAZN coverage. So no better fight to kickstart the coverage with, is there?
Yeah. Really looking forward to the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to bounce across to Saturday night in Glasgow quickly now. And we've got the co-main event. Well, what I believe will be the co-main event to Josh Taylor and Echo Esserman in Nathaniel Collins and Lee McGregor. This is at featherweight. It's for the WBC silver title. So essentially, if you have the WBC silver, you should be in line pretty soon for a shot at the champion, depending on what the governing body decides to do. Nathaniel Collins is unbeaten, 16-0. Lee McGregor, we know, has 1 defeat on his records. But he was very impressive out in Saudi, wasn't he, Lee McGregor? If Nathaniel Collins is to win on Saturday night, you'd have to say it needs to be a career best performance, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it would be. And I think it will be also that he could win on a close decision or late stoppage. I will go for Collins to win.
You're expecting Collins to win. So let's just touch on McGregor quickly. Obviously, he was out on the Usyk Fury 2 cards where he beat Isaac Lowe quite comfortably on points in the end. It's a new division still for Lee, and he's still finding his feet, obviously, after falling short down at super bantamweight. If McGregor does win on Saturday night, would you say he's the one more likely to move straight into a world title fight? For me, if Nathaniel Collins wins, he maybe needs 1 or 2 more fights, whereas I could see McGregor moving straight in at the top end. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Maybe, but I feel that both would need 1 more fight to get to a world title.
Yeah, I agree. There'll probably be the WBC will probably order an eliminator or something for whoever wins this fight before they get a shot at the champion. But you've already touched on your prediction, but I'll get you to lock it in now for me. How do you see Nathaniel Collins and Lee McGregor going?
It's a very good 50-50 fight and difficult to predict. But like I said, I would go with Collins on a very close decision, majority split decision win.
Okay, so you're going for Collins. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Lee McGregor. I just think his ability to box on the back foot, kind of what we saw with Isaac Lowe, is going to be just a bit too sharp for Nathaniel. I think it probably will be a split, maybe a majority decision, but I'm leaning towards the Scottishman to take the edge off, shall we say, in front of the home crowd and get his hand raised. But look, should be a good fight, and there is potential for us to see the fight again further down the line if it is as close as the two of us are expecting it to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Another WBC silver title on the line, this time at lightweight, and it's back at the Doncaster cards, which Hakan is attending on Friday night. It's the evergreen Maxi Hughes taking on Archie Sharp. Look, Maxi Hughes being counted out, being told his career's done time and time again. Then he goes over to Monaco just before Christmas and pretty much shuts out Gary Cully. That was one of Maxi's best performances in recent years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose the question is with Maxi Hughes, how much longer can he keep rolling for? He's 35 now. He's lost 7 times in his career. It's just a case of, can he turn up on the night and deliver another performance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he will do that in his hometown, Doncaster, to have a co-main event in his hometown. I think he will step up for this fight, and I think I will go for Maxi Hughes to take the fight on unanimous decision. I was very impressed by Maxi Hughes' performance against Gary Cully in Monte Carlo in December.
Yeah, like you say, Maxi Hughes in front of a home crowd. He was vastly impressive in winning near enough every round against Gary Cully. I think he did with 2 of the 3 judges. But let's talk about Archie Sharp. Coming off the back of his first career loss to Ryan Garner, who is now the European champion, and they've just announced a fantastic domestic fight for us here in the UK with Reece Bellotti for July. Be interesting to see how Archie bounces back. He's been out of the ring since losing in July of last year, which was his first career loss. I was always impressed with Archie on his way up, but he seems to have hit a point where he stalled, and then the Ryan Garner fight just didn't go his way. Is it there a tendency that Maxi Hughes could be the completely wrong opponent for Archie to come back into?
Yeah, I think so. I think Archie Sharp may have would have one fight, stay busy fight, and then a big one. So go direct from a loss to another big fight. Maybe it's too much when he have been out for nearly a year too.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. But I think the opportunities come for him to fight on a GBM card. Queensbury and Frank Warren have been happy to let him move across. So if he beats Maxi Hughes, he picks up a ranking belt, and he's kind of back at the same level he was at pre his loss to Garner. So you think Maxi Hughes is going to take a unanimous decision victory? Is that right?
Yeah, that's my prediction. UD win for Maxi Hughes.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I just think Archie Sharp is going to come out of a point to prove, and Maxi Hughes, when someone wants to set a tempo on Maxi Hughes at this point of his career, Maxi tends to struggle to live with them, and I think that's what Archie needs to do. I think it will be quite close on the scorecards, but I'm going for an Archie sharp points decision victory over Maxi Hughes in this one. So we'll move on to the only heavyweight contest that we're going to talk about at the weekend, and it is the outing of probably the boxer on everyone's lips in world boxing at the moment, Moses Itauma. We haven't seen him since December, which is the longest break of his fledgling 11-fight career so far. It's more time in the gym with Ben Davidson. Look, isn't a bad thing. He's taken on the American Mike Bolonga, the ex-NFL linebacker. 21-1 is the 41-year-old American. It's very difficult to know what to say about Moses. Look, he's sensational and he's blowing everyone away, but he's still only 20 years old. It's almost, how far do you push Moses at this point without completely making him jump into the deep end too soon? For me, how do you view Moses Itauma?
I believe that Moses Itauma will stop. I just forgot his name now.
Mike Balogun.
Yeah, and really early, inside 3 rounds. But after this fight, it's interesting to see what Moses Itauma will, if it will be a step up for the next fight after this one.
Yeah, I agree, mate. That is the thing with Moses now. Look, we understand he's 20 years old, but when he's gone on the trajectory he did do last year, we don't want to see him almost move back. I mean, Balogun's best name on his record is Murat Gassiev, who stopped him in 2 rounds. That's kind of what we're talking about with the American here. Like I say, he's like a lamb to slaughter. He came to boxing late after he was released by the San Francisco 49ers from after being on their training squad for 2 years and never making an NFL appearance. So kind of a Jared Anderson, Deontay Wilder type American heavyweight. Boxing isn't their first love, but because of his size, he's been drawn into it. But similar to you in terms of my prediction, I don't think we see the 4th round of this fight. I'm fully expecting Moses Itauma to come out, make another statement, and then hopefully for Frank to put him on the Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk Wembley card. That would be good to see Moses out in a real step up.
Yeah, I agree. And I will be on that card in July too. So I would like to have Moses Itauma on that card for sure.
Yeah, making another visit over to the UK. I've seen Moses. I saw Moses' pro debut and I was in the arena for his fight against Marius Wack as well. And just an impressive young man. Look, like we say, until we see him take punches back, we're not going to have the full picture with Moses Itauma, but everything we've seen so far on the eyes, he's fantastic to watch.
Yes.
Right. So we've got our 2 main events left to cover now. We're going to start with Friday night in Doncaster for the WBO lightweight world title in the women's divisions. It's Terry Harper, and Natalie Zimmerman. Terry has been given permission by Matchroom to headline this GBM show in front of what will be a raucous Doncaster crowd at the Keep Mo. The story of Terry Harper. Look, after the loss to Sandy Ryan, a lot of people were saying it's time to retire, Terry. Look, you've done a lot. You've had some good nights, but your best nights are behind you. But that performance against Rhiannon Dixon last September, she was mightily impressive, wasn't she?
Yeah, I was there. And for me, it wasn't any surprise. Terry Harper had the much more to give, and Rhiannon Dixon hadn't been in a big fight before this one. So, but I know a lot of people thought that Rhiannon Dixon would have taken that fight, but for me, it wasn't any surprise. I had Terry to win that one. When she moved down to lightweight, that is a much better weight for her.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree with you. I think a lot of people were going with recency bias. Rhiannon Dixon had obviously not lost. She'd looked relatively impressive in all her wins up to taking on Terry Harper, whereas Terry, we were sort of wondering what she had left to give. But for me, Terry's pedigree was far higher going into the Rhiannon Dixon fight. I thought she might edge it. And if we're being honest, it was as close to a perfect performance as you could expect to see. Rhiannon Dixon, unfortunately for her, she never really got into the fight. Terry never really allowed her, did she?
Yeah. Rhiannon Dixon is moving down to super feather now, I've been told. And she would have been out on the Capital card, I think, Barbosa card, but she was injured. She had to pull out, and then now I haven't heard of when she may be back.
No, nor have I. Hopefully we'll see Rhiannon back soon. And look, she's a young lady, a bit similar to how we talk about Moses. There's plenty of time for her. But let's quickly touch on the opponent in this fight, the 42-year-old unbeaten German. Look, she's 13-0, Zimmerman. She looks as if she knows what she's doing in a boxing ring. It's not one of these female fighters that looks like they're being dragged up too soon. But it would be the ultimate party people, wouldn't it, if she was to come over and defeat Terry Harper here?
Yeah, and Natalie Zimmerman have been world champion in some of the very lower world titles. In Germany, they fight a lot for the lower world title fights. So you can't take anything on those wins because the opponents hasn't been on near top 10, top 20 level.
No, that's the thing. She is undefeated, but there is a massive difference between the level of opponents she's found herself in with and the level of opponents Terry Harper's been in with, isn't there?
Yeah, and WBO has her ranked, I saw at number 10, so she's a bit down in the rankings also. So I think Terry will take this fight pretty easy.
Yeah, are you going for points or a stoppage for Terry Harper?
I'm going for a wide unanimous decision.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement again, mate. I think Terry Harper wide on the scorecards. If she's able to force a stoppage, I think it will more come down to stretch and through accumulation of punches rather than one shot. But I think the sensible prediction here is Terry Harper on points to retain her world title.
Yes, it is. And and I think if they had a more higher ranked opponent for Terry with a homecoming, that could have been a lot of that Terry could be very nervous for a homecoming, but the level between the fighters here is too much. So I think, but if she had fought one of the other girls who's high ranked, not unification, I mean high ranked by the WBO, had been a bit more interesting. I think for me, Natalie Zimmerman is too further down in the rankings to have any chance at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of the perfect hand-picked homecoming opponent from Terry Harper. Hopefully,
yes, it is.
She'll come through this, and Eddie and Matchroom will have some big plans for her for the second half of 2025. That's what we can hope.
Yeah, we can hope that. But Matt, I was told I did know about this fight for a couple of months before it was announced. And I was told that Matchroom didn't have any plans for Terry Harper. And then GBM came with an offer for a homecoming. So it wasn't any surprise that she will now fight for GBM. But she will come back to Matchroom and for her next fight. And the question is, will it be a unification with Beatrice Ferreira, or will it be a unification with Caroline Dubois? That's two big fights out there.
Yeah, there's so many options, isn't there, for Terry Harper, and hopefully we will see one of them towards the end of the year. But we're going to move on to Saturday night in Glasgow to round out the show, and it's Josh Taylor and Echo Esserman. It is Josh Taylor's debut at 147, but it's much bigger than that for the Scotsman. It's his career on the line at this point. Look, as I said to someone the other day, the last fantastic performance we got from Josh Taylor was this time in 2021 when he beat Jose Ramirez to become undisputed world champion at 135 pounds. Since then, we've had the Jack Catterall 1 debacle. We've had the loss in New York to Teofimo Lopez. We've had the rematch loss to Jack Catterall, and now we're in this position with Josh. Look, there's no denying that Josh's rise was one of the best stories in boxing in more recent years, but what are you expecting from him on Saturday? I'm really unsure what Josh Taylor is going to turn up.
I'm expecting he with a homecoming. If this fight had been in another city, I would have maybe he wouldn't have turned up like he must be when he have a homecoming in Scotland for this fight. So I think the main reason for me is that he will turn up, but how good will he be? That's the question.
Yeah, you're completely right. I actually think the fact that this fight for him is a main event in Scotland could be undue pressure for him. I mean, look, every fighter wants to fight in their home crowd, but I think Josh maybe would have been happy with this as a co-main, say on the Nottingham card that we got 2 weeks ago. I think maybe the pressure of the home crowd is something that could get on Josh Taylor's back. But let's touch on his opponent, Echo Esserman. Look, he's actually older than Josh Taylor, but he's almost the one that can raise the stock of his career if he is to get a victory on Saturday night. The only defeat on Echo's record is when he lost to Harry Scarf for the British and Commonwealth titles a couple of years ago. Again, that was a close fight. There was only a round in it on the scorecards. Since then, he's got 2 wins over Owen Cooper and Ben Vaughan. Look, there's no denying this will need to be a career best performance from Echo Esserman. But if Josh Taylor is as much on the slide as some people fear, this could be right place, right time for the Nottingham man, couldn't it?
Yeah, I agree, and I'm very I'm not sure on my prediction for this fight. There is so many storylines going into this fight that it's difficult to know. So it's a 50-50 fight for me.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, look, the Josh Taylor, even after the first Jack Catterall fight, if they gave him Echo Esserman, you would have favoured Josh in a big way. But since then, we've had the 2 losses to Teo in New York, where Teo just seems to have one of those nights that he's capable of having, and obviously the Jack rematch in May last year, which was the last time we saw him. I know you said you're 50-50 and on the fence, but I am going to ask you for a prediction. What do you think happens on Saturday night?
I think it will go to points, and I think it will be very close. But I will go for Josh Taylor to win on a majority decision.
Going Josh Taylor back in the Tartan Tornado.
Yeah,
I think
so. That's my.
Go on, sorry, Hakan.
That's my prediction, that it will be very close to the championship rounds, and then Josh Taylor, for me, will take a few of the last 3 rounds, and then maybe could win on a majority decision or a split.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 10-round fight, which I think reflects where Josh Taylor's at the moment. This is only 10 rounds. For me, I have to favour Echo Esserman. I think he's going to come into Glasgow into quite a boisterous and hostile atmosphere, and he's going to pull off the shock. I agree with you. It's going to be a close fight. It's going to be a cagey fight. I hope if Echo Esserman is the winner, we don't see any judges' scorecards that we're going to be talking about on Sunday morning. But for me, unfortunately, Josh Taylor is just falling off so quickly from where he was this time in 2021. And unfortunately, I think it will be another loss, which may be the final nail in his coffin.
Yeah, it would be if Josh Taylor will lose this fight. He's out for the big fights in the future. He need to win this homecoming.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only place to go for Josh, if he was to lose on Saturday, would be a trilogy with Jack Catterall after the Harlan fight, because that's 1-1. The only thing that you could put Josh in off another defeat would be a Jack Catterall trilogy. But
I agree with that. After Jack Catterall lost to Barbosa, and now is fighting Harlan Eubank, and so Jack Catterall is further away from a world title fight now. So that trilogy could happen.
Excuse me. Yeah, completely agree with you, mate. But that brings us to the end of this week's predictions. Hakan, thank you very much for jumping on, mate. I know you got an early flight over here to the UK to be at the GBM card on Friday. Before we do go, anyone that isn't following your social media to keep up with all your exploits or you're traveling around for fights, where can they find you, mate?
They can find me on all socials and Facebook, Instagram, and X, and most people knows where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hakan's tag for handle for X is at the bottom of the screen. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much, Hakan, for coming on. Thank you very much for watching the show. I will be back on Thursday night with Mr. JFT himself for Straight Talk, and you'll catch me over on the SW Fight Hub channel for predictions for the fights I've been talking about tonight with both Sam and Jay later on this week, as well as the watch-alongs from the fight nights. Get involved in the comments with your predictions. Let us know if you agree with us, and I'll see you again soon.
See you.